Welcome back to the IB Director interview with Ms. Downing, part two, and we thank you for your continued interest in this discussion. Why do you think IB is important for students in high school, like after high school, their college and career trajectory?
There are plenty of statistics, and this is affirmed by talking to our own alumni, showing that students who complete the IB program or a substantial number of IB classes first are accepted to colleges at higher rates, that they graduate colleges at far higher rates and on time, which your parents will appreciate that if you can get through college in 4 or 5 years versus 6 or 8 years, that's a big difference, right? Now, some of that may be that the kinds of students who choose to take on these challenges, whatever we put in front of them, would do better. But we're also seeing students telling us when they go that they find themselves better prepared than their peers who also made into that college. So now we're comparing, students who all made it into whichever college it is, and they're saying, no, I'm more prepared. I understand better how to connect things. I understand better how to manage my time. I have more experience writing papers, and I can apply that in these classes. I know how to find the big ideas in there. And I think that's where the real payoff is. We would love to announce that every single student that goes through our IB program goes in with college units. Lots of them do, not all of them do. And that's going to be true for any school that you check with. But the education, the value of that learning and the ability to think and then apply those skills further on are a huge asset. And students are personally feeling that payoff beyond just anything the statistics can tell us.
Yeah, I definitely have seen that reflected in some people I know have graduated too. And just kind of bouncing off that question, from being, a program director for IB at Inderkum for a substantial amount of time, how have you seen students grow from like their freshman to their senior year in the IB program?
Well, I will tell you what the students tell me. They're tired and they're stressed. And you're going to hear that in a lot of places. And we strive every year to make a little bit less of that. We're doing, we're hearing them, and there's a certain amount of requirements doing that. At the same time, while they like to blame it on IB, I also look at these are students like you who are involved in so many things. They're doing sports, they're doing clubs, they're real leaders. So it's not just that they're being IB. They are the kind of people who want to reach out and do all of these other things, right? So they're gaining those skills in learning how to work through things and solve those problems. They are gaining in terms of building connections with other students in their school. And we see here a real sort of positive kind of competition where, in the sense that students are learning more from each other about opportunities and then going along and finding that, or thinking about going to schools outside of California and encouraging each other to do that. That environment can vary from school to school. We've had students transfer from other places and tell us, well, at other places it felt more competitive and this and that. So I think that's something for students to be aware of, kind of take away. How can I work with people instead of trying to compete against them all the time? How can we all benefit and grow from this? How can I bring other people along with me? That's what I encourage. And I apologize because I think somewhere in there I went off track of your question, but I hope I've shared something useful.
No, yeah, I think you did. I think it's also really notable. I did some student and alumni interviews too about IB, and they really noted that kind of being in that environment where people were determined to kind of meet their goals and all that stuff really, made them more want to meet their goals or get involved in more things. And I think that's really, unique. And I feel like great about IB, especially at our schools. I feel like being around people who are determined is constantly motivating you to do better in a healthy way, which I think is really great.
Exactly. And I'm going to interrupt you here before you go on the next question, because you reminded me where I was going. And so you talk to students sometimes and tell them stress tired, and you talk to seniors in May at any IB school, they're going to start telling you this is awful, never do that. And literally they'll go tell the freshmen that. When I talk to them again in December after they've gone off to college, like, this was so worth it. I'm so glad that I did it. I really get it now. I'm starting to see how this works. And so it's that perspective. And again, really stepping back from them in the moment, it can be hard, but then later on appreciating what you've learned from the journey.
Yeah, I think that's really notable. And then for our listeners that may not know, how can being an IB affect a student's GPA?
So as with AP courses, the idea is that the courses are being taught at a higher level. So IB diploma program courses, those ones in grades 11 and 12, are comparable to freshman year at a university, right? And because of that, and that we recognize that we're challenging the students to go deeper and go faster, they are awarded weighted grades for those courses, right? So again, this can vary a little bit from campus to campus depending on which courses they're taking and which they're approved, but most IBGP courses are approved for honors weight at UC and other colleges, meaning that instead of 4 points for an A and 3 points for a B, it's 5 points for an A, 4 for a B, 3 for a C. It's still 1 for a D, right? These don't get you those same college credits. So when students are calculating their GPAs and doing their college applications, they're going to score higher. So at Inderkum, with all the ins and outs of our courses, students can max out, I think it's somewhere like about a 4.85 if they've had A's and everything versus the traditional 4.0.
Great, that's amazing. And what's the difference between the diploma and certificate pathway?
So all of you students who are 11th and 12th graders and taking IB classes, I would consider IB diploma program students, right? That's the name of the program. Some of you, we say you're on a diploma pathway, and this will be true at any IB school if you are taking 6 IB subjects, right? And you're also doing the core pieces, which is the theory of knowledge class, writing an extended essay, and completing the CAS, creativity, activity, and service requirements. Right. So going for being a candidate for the full IB diploma requires all those pieces, the 6 core classes plus the 6 subject classes plus the 3 core requirements. Anything less, if you have 5 IB classes, but you're still doing core, or you drop the extended essay, but you're doing every other piece, we would call you a certificate student. Now, IB specifically says you are a course student. We find that a little confusing because all students take courses, and so describing someone as a course student, right? So we've stuck with the certificate description. IB reserves that for that whole certificate program, right? Little ins and outs. So a student who is taking just one IB course, we would describe as a certificate student. Someone who's doing 5 courses, we would describe as a certificate student. It just means that when you finish out your IB courses and you take those IB exams, you're going to get a certificate which has the results of those exams, but you're not eligible to get the full diploma, whereas someone who's doing the full package is eligible to get the full diploma.
Got it. Thank you for that insight. And for our last question today, what is one piece of advice you have for students applying or joining the program?
My piece of advice is to be in the moment, right? So being in the moment can be a lot of things. It can be when you're happy and having fun with your friends, be happy and have fun with your friends. But when you're in class, you really need to be in that class and focus in that time, because so much when I hear from students, again, back to that time management aspect and not having time for everything. I have so much homework, it takes so much time to do this. But if I go check on in class, when they're given that time to work on something, their mind is elsewhere, or they're juggling the phone or whatever other things. If you can really be in the moment, you know, if you're in Spanish class, focus on Spanish class. If you're in chemistry class, focus on chemistry class. You're going to save yourself so much time in the end, because you're picking up what you need to right then. You're getting things done. And then you're going to be freer for those fun, enjoyable times with your friends when you're outside of the class, right? So you won't have these things weighing on you. So really be in the moment, trying to learn what you can in that time, and then that balance, right? Being able to take away time, have free time, have enough sleep, do other things in your life, because it's not our goal to have you doing school around the clock, right? Despite popular opinion. And I think you would hear this from any teacher at any school at any level, right? The more we could have you focused on class time during class and then free to do something else outside, you'd all end up feeling better about things.
Yeah, I feel that. I think time management is a big thing I had to learn, just using the time when you have it. But yeah, we thank you, Ms. Downing, once again for being such an amazing contribution to this discussion and hope to continue connecting with you in the future. Thank you again to our listeners for being a part of this discussion as well. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. Make sure to keep up to date with new stories and interviews in the near future.